achieved major crossover success in the world of pop music. Five-time Grammy Award winner Shania Twain's 1997 album Come On Over is the best-selling album of all time by a female musician. She's sold more than 75 million albums worldwide, but she hasn't released an album of new material since 2002, and in the last several years she seemed to retreat from public life entirely, until now.
Man, I feel like a woman.
We know her music through hits such as Man, I Feel Like a Woman, but until now we've known little about her. An awful lot of people who had gone through what you've gone through would be hiding in a closet somewhere.
Oh, what does that mean?
No, I mean, it was a lot.
I think I've remained very detached from my life to this point, almost as though it was a different person every phase I went through. And so I've reconnected and said, no, this is actually who I am. I really want to help people with my testimony.
And testify she does in her new book, From This Moment On, and documentary series, Why Not, with Shania Twain. In both endeavors, Twain lays bare her tumultuous life, starting with her impoverished childhood.
This was the bedroom for the four of us. This just from me onto the stairs.
In which she often went to school hungry. It's not just that you were hungry, it was also that you were embarrassed.
Right, so I never talked about it. I wouldn't admit it. I would lie why I didn't have lunch, because I wanted to protect my parents, first of all. I didn't want them to get exposed and to somebody to go knocking on their door.
It was the beginning of a pattern of hiding the painful things in her life, her mother being routinely beaten by her father, and her father verbally abusing her. What would he say to you?
Well, I wouldn't be able to say the words on television.
He used the C word in reference to you.
He used all of those really, really terrible words, the worst ones you can imagine. It was almost a psychological game of torture.
Do you forgive them?
Completely, because I lived it with them. When I was hungry, they were hungry. In fact, if anything, I sense now that I'm a parent, I sense more the burden they must have gone through.
Perhaps forgiveness comes from losing them so early. They died in a car accident when she was only 22. For the next 6 years, she did whatever she could to support her siblings and keep her music alive. Finally, in 1995, Any Man of Mine hit #1. Her collaborator and husband, the legendary producer Mutt Lange, helped make it happen.
When I met Mutt, I knew that I loved this person and felt like I had already loved him.
You made a lot of great music.
We made a lot of great music.
From this moment on, just one of them. The couple eventually moved to Switzerland to be out of the spotlight and had a son named Asia. She also found a best friend, Marianne Thibault. There weren't a lot of people in this world.
No, there was no other girlfriend at the time.
Shania says things were not going well in her marriage.
And all the while I'm confiding in Marianne, it just dawned on me to ask, do you think it's possible that he might be having an affair? And of course she, said, of course not.
But Twain says, in fact, he was. And it was Marianne's husband, Fred, who broke the news to her.
Fred called me and said, I don't know if you want to know, but there's something I think you need to know about Mutt and Marianne.
Did you believe him?
No, I didn't. I didn't believe him.
Did you confront Mutt?
Of course I did. I confronted Mutt and I confronted Marianne.
Who first?
And she changed her phone number very quickly. She came over for dinner one night and I said, are you sure there's nothing you want to share with me? Is there something you're maybe holding back? And she said, no, of course not. And she started crying a little bit about how disappointed she was in me, that I mistrusted her. I said, Fred, I'm telling you, you're wrong. She is innocent. And then I said goodbye to Marianne. I never did see her again.
So when you finally get around to talking to your husband, how's that go?
He denied it for a very long time, probably even more than a year.
It sounded like you were more angry with her than with him.
Yes.
Why?
For interfering with something so dear to me. It was just the most disrespectful thing to do, to interfere with a marriage that's weak. And I just found that extremely unfair.
We were unable to reach Mutt Lange or Marianne Thibault for a comment, but they have both previously denied having an affair. Nevertheless, Twain says she was devastated and could barely get out of bed.
When I found out, I went right into shock. The person to comfort me was Fred.
Good.
I should have got the role for Miss Congeniality because he's been through the exact same thing.
Fell in love with her.
That's when I said, "Whoa, I'm not falling in love. I don't want love."
The final twist in all of this, which is almost unbelievable, is that you fall in love with Fred.
Mm-hmm. Did I fall in love again? Never mind with who. Even again, I fell in love. I can't even believe it.
But you're a newlywed.
Newlywed,
May I
yes,
see that
because
pretty
it's
ring?
just so
Look
recent.
at that. Look at that. Just January 1st, right?
That's right, January 1st.
Ironically, while she's raising her voice to tell her story, she is struggling to reclaim her singing voice.
It physically will not come out of my throat. The physiological aspect of it, which is called dysphonia. There's nothing wrong with my actual voice. It's the envelope around the vocal cords that is restricting.
Listen, I'm no doctor, but I read the book and I say to myself, is it a coincidence that her husband and best friend betray her and she's not feeling like she can really sing out? And it feels a lot like when you're holding back a cry, you say?
Yes, I spend a lot of my life holding back my cries, and I want to change that because it's not good for me, period.
Can you make an album without Mutt?
Yes, of course I can. Can I make a great album without Mutt? I don't know.
But what of all the great love songs they did make? Like You're Still the One. Does she still believe in that?
I temporarily lost my hope in love, and it was temporary, thank goodness. And I believe very much in love.
We can't wait to hear her sing again. Her book is in stores, and the documentary series starts on the Oprah Winfrey Network on Sunday. Next up, these dogs do a lot more